Can
Okay,
you hear me?
perfect. Yeah, I can hear you now. How's it going?
It's coming along.
All
Just
right.
trying to figure everything out.
Perfect, perfect. So typically the way these calls go is, we're gonna just pretty much dive deep into any questions that you have and kind of walk through some of the stuff so that we can get you rocking and rolling. Looks like you
Okay.
prepared today, so that's a good thing. Um, so I guess we can go ahead and dive right in.
Now you wanted you wanted me to send you the smart market diagnosis, right? Or was it the niche worksheet? Which one was it?
Um,
Was it both?
Just send both, yeah. And then there's an
Oh,
avatar one too. So when you get those, send those. And the reason why
okay.
that's important is because when we go to the market, right, we need to already kind of have some information. And a lot of the stuff that I do, I always equate it to like dating, right? So, you know, when I was in college or whatever, you come out on
Mhm.
campus, see a girl in the yard, first time, you're like, oh, okay, who's that, right? And you start asking, hey, who is that, right? Where's she from? Like, it's kind of
Mhm.
those things. And so that's what we want to do here is we want to figure out who our ideal client is and then do our research.
Okay.
So when we approach the market,
Mhm.
we're ready to go and it kind of lays it in. And then once you have that, then I use my expertise in the formula to kind of show you what to extract from that based off the information that you have. And then with that, that means your advertising and everything is getting people to book appointments and leads like that.
Okay.
Okay. And so those are and the reason why also is because that's really the foundation of what we're going to use. So every time that we have any questions, we just refer back to those sheets, right? It's kind of like the blueprint.
Okay. I got you. I got you. All right.
And so I guess we can just start with what you already have come up with, and then we can kind of build off of that.
Okay. Let's see. Well, which sheet did you want me to start with?
Let's just start with the niche sheet.
Okay, the niche one. Okay. Where you said list five niches. So just start with step one.
Yeah.
Okay. Riches that I know about or passionate about. I have life insurance, online marketing, automotive, videography, and photography. Those are things that I, know a little bit about,
Okay.
know some about.
And out of those, if you had, so you got five there, circle the one that you probably know the most about and, probably would talk the most about, you know, probably the most passionate about.
Okay. I pretty much know a lot about videography, photography, online marketing, and know a little bit about online marketing and life insurance. Those are
Okay.
primarily like the four things that I know a lot about, or some about,
Okay. Great.
about automotive.
Okay. And so we can kind of dig deeper into that as we go on, but I want to see what else you have.
Okay.
And so this is really, so the goal of this is to kind of cherry pick an industry first, right? Give us a broad generalization of people who we even know a little bit about, or
Mhm.
a lot of agents have had prior careers, right? In something. And usually
Right.
that's kind of where we go. So we're trying to figure out what your affinity is. So for me, it would either be hospitality industry or life insurance for when I was picking my niche, right? Because I've already kind of done these things, have the conversations, know what the process is, sold life insurance before, right? But also
Mhm.
in the service industry, I've kind of been through that, kind of know the ins and outs, since that's really what we're trying to uncover is
Okay.
someone that you can kind of write a page out of their daily diary, right? Because we need to know where they are, where they want to be, and then we position ourselves with our strategies for what your service is in the middle.
Okay. Okay. And I don't know why I forgot banking because I've worked in banking for a number of years. So.
Right. Which is great because that comes out when you're doing your presentation, right? In the fact you start
Mhm.
sharing all of that education that you have. So yeah,
Mhm.
that is definitely important. And so yeah, let's just move on.
Okay. Says five skill sets which you currently have: coachable, good at math, tech savvy. I know how to sell, good communicator of solutions to a problem.
Okay, those are great.
Okay. 3 problem fears and the desires of most niches that you select. Not having enough quality leads, not having the right strategy, not having job security due to overproduction, not having enough clients, and not having enough clients.
Got it. What was? Can you read that one more time?
Okay, not having enough quality leads, not having the right strategy, not having job security due to overproduction, not having enough clients.
Okay. And so, which industry do you think that applies to the most from what you have in question one?
Uh, all of these combined, or just
Yeah, just a
one?
general consensus. We're trying to get some kind of consensus here so we can,
Okay.
take this sheet
I
and
think that
extract it.
uh, out of the life insurance online marketing video, all of them don't have enough quality leads,
Right.
because that's one that, and all of them might not have the right strategy to get their desired result.
Right.
And
But we want to tie it to your service. So we have to we pick the industries first, but then we have to splinter off that and start turning the needle towards turning the bottle, right? Spinning the bottle.
okay,
So we're trying to turn the bottle towards your services so we can position ourselves there. So as we look at the life insurance and then the other industries that you have in question one, we really can't use the leads to the insurance because that's what you're trying to do is get leads for your insurance business, right?
right.
So we want to be able to position ourselves um, as the service and the offer in there. So, for example, if we have hairdressers, right? So then
Hmm.
they're probably they don't have a retirement package, right?
Okay.
They are 1099 contractors, so they don't have the full benefits of being an entrepreneur. So that would be some things that they would have 3 problems with, right? You see where I'm going with that? And then
Okay.
we can position ourselves saying that we know that, you probably pay a ton of taxes and probably, if you're a successful hairdresser and you have gaps that if anything were to happen, your income isn't protected and probably don't have any retirement planning. And then that's where you can position yourself to have a strategy to kind of help that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So when we're thinking about this, we have to try to reposition ourselves at the end of the tunnel as the ultimate goal and outcome, which means that when you're thinking about these industries, if your service can't be offered to them, then we have to scratch them off the list, right? So we probably have to
Right.
scratch life insurance agents off the list simply because that's kind of a service that you provide and that would cancel you out. And then we need to start thinking about industries that we can help because what we're doing is we're going to use these sheets to come up with the top 2 or 3 industries that would be a good fit for your service, who you think is an ideal client for you. So that's
Okay.
the goal of the sheet is to just start getting some momentum. But then as we start going through the sheet, we can start to uncover some similarities in the
Hmm.
industries, the skills that you have, and the needs for the market, right? So we'll start to
Okay.
notice some patterns.
Okay.
Got it? And
Hmm.
so where we at question 3 or 4?
We did. That was 3. Now 4 says the most important factor is the problems and desires of all the problems and desires in step 3. Which one do you believe is the most powerful?
Right.
Uh, I said not having enough quality leads and enough clients is the
Right.
most powerful.
Right. So, and again, that's kind of more geared towards the life insurance part, because you're kind of thinking as yourself, right? But
Right.
we have to put ourselves in the shoes of our clients. So what we're trying to do is get inside the mind of the people that we want to work with.
Okay.
So, I think that kind of backing back up and just kind of slowing down a little bit. So we
Okay.
had life insurance on question 1. What other
Hmm.
industries are automotive? And then you
Hmm.
said you mentioned not to put banking in there, but are there any kind of other industries that you know a lot about, like specific, like you were in banking. What else did you do? What else have you done in your career?
I was in banking for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, roughly about 10 years,
Right. I
off and
remember you
on.
saying that.
I worked in like uh, automotive industry in like a plant um, for about 2 years. I
Okay,
worked
what were you
for.
doing? What were you doing there?
We were making the doors for the Pontiac G6, which was like
Okay.
10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what was your experience going through that? You know what I mean? How was
I,
the salary, the benefits, and kind of that process?
I didn't like it. It was my first time doing it. My father worked at one of the big three for 39 and a half years. My grandfather did for like 45 years. And they always said, like, it's not the place for you. But, they kind of, depending on where you get in there, you might make decent money, but it's like you definitely work for it. You earn every penny. So I know that they work hard. They make decent money, you know. A lot of when they retire, they get divorced.
Why's
uh,
that?
I guess because like their wife has been used to them being gone for years, and then when they come home and they're at home all the time, that has happened. To a
Oh,
lot of my father's
because they're used to
friends.
having space and not being there. Huh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it definitely is.
So,
Um,
because that can be a huge kind of thing down the road. Thinking through is, why
uh-huh,
that is if they're at home and they don't have anything to do, or they haven't had a retirement set up to go and do some fun things like go on vacation and
right.
you know spend time, quality time, but it be um, special time, right? Like going
Uh-huh.
to shows or things like that. They probably haven't had a lot of things set aside. So um, the automotive. What kind of what would be the title for that, for what they do?
Some people work. It's like my father worked in the paint shop at Chrysler for. He was a supervisor for a number of years. I know people that work in uh, that do the designing of the vehicles. There are people that make the engines, or different people that do very different jobs in the plants.
So is that like is it like an engineer or is it like a tech? What?
Some of them actually are engineers. Some of them are just line workers on the assembly
Okay.
line.
Yeah. I mean, engineers is always automotive engineers is always good. The challenge is with engineers, the ins and outs of the whole thing really takes them so far away from actually
Mhm.
like implementing and taking action, because they got to crunch the numbers and kind of focus, and they
Right.
end up uh, paralysis by analysis. I guess that's what they end up
Yeah.
doing. And so, if you think like them, it's easy. But if not, then it's just a tough situation where you got a whole bunch of deals open and very little of them closing. So automotive engineers probably wouldn't be the best route to go. But other people inside of the automotive industry may be something that may be a good avenue for you to go, because once you just named off three huge problems that they may have. You said your
Hmm.
father did it. You've experienced it too. They're hardworking people. So then that means that they would care a lot about their financial situation, because they got to work really
Hmm.
hard for it. They got to make a little go a long way. And then they need to be set up for kind of retirement and those things, which is where you can kind of position yourself.
Okay. Now,
So go
with
ahead.
with doing this exercise, should I focus? Because I remember in one of the videos you said find a niche, and I was thinking, because I mean I could focus on mortgage protection or final expense or IULs, annuities, whatever the case may be. But I
Right.
was looking at one to like kind of focus on like, and I was just thinking like final expenses, like people over 50 that are getting ready to retire, or if they already have retired, thinking about, like the last few years or whatnot, protecting
Right.
themselves.
Right. Which
Should I,
is, yeah, go ahead.
is that where I should focus, or should I think more along the lines of like we were talking about the workers in the plant, just focusing on them, or just people 55 and above?
Right. So that's the second layer, right? So this is
Okay, okay,
called like an audience. So what we're trying to do here is this. So
okay,
we are so what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a perfect kind of audience. And what we want
okay,
to do is we want to kind of do it in like levels. And so like the age is probably the least important demographic for what we're trying to
Okay.
do. But we want to try to pick an industry. Sorry, I'm using my mouse. So this is the industry. And then we want to try to pick, a sub niche inside the industry.
Okay.
And then the age part is where we can kind of tailor the message. And so this is kind of what we want to do. And the reason why you want to pick an industry, because we need to have something to focus on that we can position ourselves as an expert, that we can know a lot about, right? And the
Okay.
more you do business with people, the more you kind of understand patterns, which means that you can solve the problem a lot faster because you have experience with it, right? It's like somebody came into the bank, right? If you were there
Hmm.
to give people loans, that's all you did all day.
Hmm.
At a certain point, you've seen it all, right? You've done all the loans, you've done all these things.
Uh-huh.
You know which lender to go to for this problem with the credit score. You know where to go for this problem with the credit score. You know how
Hmm.
to solve the problem if they've been an entrepreneur for 18 months and they need to have 2 tax returns. You know how to solve the problem because you've had experience. And so that's really why we want to just kind of pick the industry. But then we want to kind of go into the sub niche because we want to start out very, very narrow so
Okay.
that we can get some great results really fast. And then we can kind of scale out and broaden out. And then the age is where that whole broad piece comes into. It's kind of broad targeting because if we just say 55, we'll get anybody, which is okay. But in the beginning, in order to measure the impact of the results, we need to really have
Okay.
a small target to kind of focus on, right? So, the first thing we need to do is just have a really, really small target and just have a bullseye. And so what we're trying to do is test to see if our message is connecting based off the research that we did with the industry, the niche. And then as we kind of go up the ladder, the age will become important because then that's just something we can just click with the button to kind of tweak, right? We can just
Hmm.
type in 55 to 60. That's not really an issue. But if we don't have the kind of niche and the industry broken down, then we won't have anything to measure that actually works.
Now, would you say that banking and automotive would be a good like niche for me to focus on?
I would say the automotive probably be a good niche because it's just kind of like you can connect with them, right? It's like hardworking, blue collar, salt of the earth kind of people, right?
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
simple people that you know want some finer things in life, probably that need some education, right? Which you could use your banking skills to kind of inform them, but then make it
Hmm.
easy for them to make a decision because you can present them with a strategy on how to, position themselves for the long term, right? Because they worked a lot, they commit a lot of their lives to a lot of hours of working hard, then they don't
Hmm.
want to end up at the end of the rope, one getting divorced and having half of that going to somebody else as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's a
Hmm.
huge thing that you can use for on your sheet that you should have written down is if they're getting divorces, then they need to have some kind of contingency plan in place, like a nest egg, right? Just in case,
Hmm.
which should probably be question 3 or 4. And so
Okay.
what you can do is have that there, right? And then the other 2 things that you mentioned, we probably write down. Um,
Okay. All right. Okay.
and so
Now.
then what this will allow you to do is to, because this is kind of hypothesis, right? We need to have a hypothesis, then we test it, and then we'll iterate it. But what this will do is when you go to talk to people, it'll even strengthen your hypothesis or to dispel it, and then you just use what they told you. And the easiest way
Hmm.
to do that is either be experienced with it or just hop on a quick phone call with somebody and just ask them, hey man, I'm doing some research, just want to spend 5 minutes. You know, what are a couple things that kind of keep you up at night? I know you're working hard. What are some things that you're really thinking about that you really haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about, that you may be concerned about, career or personally and financially, right? And then they're going to give you the information. Now you have your sheet, you have one conversation with someone or two or three to kind of back up what you have. And now you don't have to guess. Now we got the goal, right? And then we use that. So I'm not sure if your father's still around, but that'll be something to ask them or ask anybody else that, you just go through your phone, right? Go on Facebook, people you still connected with, and just shoot them a message, and that'll give you some solid info. Because when we go to using the advertising to do the leads, like that's really simple, right? We just use the template, set it up, and with a few clicks of a button, and Facebook will do all the work. But we have to have the targeting dialed in, because that's the only thing that, that Facebook can't do. They can find everybody that we need to get connected with. They can target them, but they need to have a specific target, or a specific enough target.
Okay. So I think when I did all of these sheets, it was basically from like my perspective where I'm at, as opposed to a particular niche.
Right. Which is
So
okay.
More than likely I had to do them, kind of do them particularly for that niche. Since you,
right.
Like, I didn't think of that when I was doing it.
Which is okay, because now we have some direction, right? So now you can just start thinking right now. So we don't got to wait. Let's just go on to the next question.
Okay. 5 is, now take the problem or desires for step 4. See how it looks in the transformation chart.
Right. So it should be like 2 circles in a line, right?
Yep.
In between it. Okay. So now you see how we're going to position ourselves. You see how this is going? So we're building off of page 1. So write automotive at the top, just so we can kind of get that in our head on this one, on sheet 2. Yeah. Just write automotive. Right. And so now we're getting in the mind of, this is who we're going to kind of target.
Okay.
And then, so let's talk about the current situation, which is they work hard, they make decent income, right?
Yeah. And they usually work hard and make decent money. They want better than what their parents did for them.
Right. So write that down.
Okay. Most of them don't have very little, if none, college education, because they started 18, or went into the plants at right out of high school, or maybe right after college if the career path didn't work for them, because they knew they could make a decent pay from that.
So would they be interested in any kind of college funding planning for anybody else, any legacy planning?
I would say if they have children, yes, because
right.
I mean,
right. So that's huge. That's huge.
Okay. And even though they do make decent money, they always want their kids. They don't want the kid, from the ones that I know, they don't want the kids to, work in the factories like they did. They want better for their kids, even though they did pretty good. So they just want to kind of give them a better chance at life.
Which means that they can do some put away something, some savings for them.
Yeah.
They can do some what is that? 529s. They can, do some of those, and then that's where your banking solutions come into, right? But
Yeah.
so this is the current situation. You just mentioned their desire situation. So make sure that we put that down, which is they want something for their kids, right? That's their desire situation.
Yeah, because I know a lot of them want the kids to have something like when they leave,
Right.
you know, so it'd be like some type of wealth transfer
Correct. So
in
there's a
place.
current situation and your desired situation. They're hardworking, started working, been working hard their whole life since 18, make a
Hmm.
decent living, but they want to be able to have their kids and grandkids to be left with some kind of legacy and to be left in a better position than it was for them. They don't want them to have to work and spend the last 20, 30 years working in a factory, right? And so how do they
Yeah.
do that? Well, that's where your offer comes in the middle.
Okay. So how so basically me knowing that information is kind of like I'm stepping right, like cutting their pathway off, saying, "Hey, I know what you've been through. I know what you're feeling. Here's a solution that can help you."
Exactly. So it's just like,
Okay.
it's kind of like when we have conversation, it's like, Kevin, man, I've been in your shoes, right? We went through the whole
Hmm.
process of like, I struggled cold calling, making dials,
Hmm.
buying crappy leads, all these
Yeah.
things. Mentors telling me I didn't work them enough. I didn't call them soon enough. I didn't do all these
Yeah.
things, right, man? I've been on your side of the table. See how your head's nodding? Because that's what you can see. It's
Yeah.
your head
Yeah.
is like, yeah, man, been there, right?
Yeah.
Frustrated with, seeing other people have success when you know
Hmm.
that you're just as hardworking as them. You deserve to have those things. And what I
Hmm.
found is, the difference is that they had a system, right? They had a rinse and
Hmm.
repeat system in order to get qualified appointments,
Hmm.
to find people who they could help and who they could serve.
Hmm.
And that's really where your offer positions is you're saying, you know, I've been on your side of the table, right? I worked in automotive before, right? My father was there for 39 years, right? All the
Hmm.
walls are coming down, right? All the resistance coming down. They're nodding their head because they're like, oh, okay, this guy's just like me. He gets me. And then that's
Hmm.
when, you know, it's true. You know where they want to go. And it's just a mathematical equation to get them there, right? It's no magic, right? You don't have
Hmm.
a rabbit up your sleeve or rabbit out of your hat, right? An ace up your sleeve. There's a mathematical way that they can get there based off of what they have. And you just need to ask them some questions to see, how you can help them best. And you're right into the fact finder, right? That's pretty standard. So um, that's why this is important. And so we have the current situation and the desired situation. Then can you read that question again? The one that you're working on?
The problem desire one. 5.
Yes, yes.
Okay. It says, you want me to read what I put down, or?
No, just read the question.
Okay. All right. So now take the problem or desire from step 4 and define how this looks on the transformation chart.
Okay, so we did that. Cool. Perfect. So
Hmm.
you see how we're clear on where they are and where they want to
Hmm.
be, right? And the thing about this is just at the beginning because, as we start to put these things pen to paper, you're going to think of more stuff because now it's on your mind. Like, what other things could they be struggling with? What other things could they want, right?
Okay. So the current situation, basically, them working hard, making decent money. They came in with little education straight out of high school. Now the desired situation is them wanting to leave something for their family, right? That's the
Correct.
desired. Okay.
Yes, correct. They
Okay.
want better life for their children, right? They want to leave a legacy. They want to transfer wealth. They don't want their kids to have to work in a factory.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Cool. And then, so what's the next one?
It says, do you currently have the skills and knowledge to solve this problem and help? If yes, awesome. Your niche is selected. So based on this, I think automotive is
Yeah, you see how I go? You see that? Yeah.
wow. I wouldn't have even thought that, I had no clue. I'm like, all right, 50 and above. Now it's like, I
Right.
know that y'all broad, but I'm like, how do I get
Yeah.
closer to them?
Right.
I didn't, but you
Yeah, it's
asking the
pretty
right
different.
questions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because it's pretty different too. Because see, at this level, right? So now you kind of
Uh-huh.
separated yourself from the pack with the differentiation, right? Because everybody
Mhm.
else is saying 50 to 60, pre-retirees, final expense, all of this,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But that's what everybody else is saying, right? So this is how
Right.
you kind of cut through all that noise, you know, still
Mhm.
offering the same solutions as everybody else, but it's a different message, right? Like
Right.
um how Under Armour really came onto the scene
Mhm.
is they focused on high school first. They started focusing on high school football teams. And then they started
Really.
focusing on equipment for high school football teams, right? And
Mhm.
then we don't probably remember this, but you will now once I say it, click clack, right? It was Vernon Davis, where
Mhm.
locker room, high school equipment, and it was like kind of
Mhm.
started with that. And so it started now. Schmidt and a couple other companies kind of already had that kind of on lock, but they really wasn't targeting the high school. It was like D1 college athletes and professional.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, the thing is once you get teenagers to do something as a habit, it's very hard for them as an adult to kind of break that habit and to go away from that, right?
Mhm.
So if they got them in high school, then if they were D1s, then they would only want to wear that helmet. Like Antonio Brown, right? He only wanted to wear that old helmet, right? He pretty much
Mhm.
got kicked out the league because he wouldn't put on this other helmet because he's been wearing it for 10 years, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's kind of what we want to do is we want to kind of start somewhere, working in this niche, kind of focusing on that because this
Mhm.
differentiates you. And Under Armour planted their flag in the high school niche, right? Then
Mhm.
they went from cleats to shoes to now they're doing workout gear, and they
Yep.
went broad after, right? But they started
Mhm.
really, really, really niche down. So you're not
Okay.
married to being down, but you see
Mhm.
how when you start to focus, it kind of
Mhm.
starts to line up. So
Yeah.
then when you talk to people, your message is just clear in your conversation. Well, who do I help? Well, I'm helping automotive people, right? Who,
Mhm.
hardworking people make a good living and they want a better life and leave a legacy. Well, that's crystal clear when you're talking to somebody, right? And if you're
Mhm.
talking to somebody that's in the automotive industry, right? When you're sparking up specific and strategic conversations with people like that,
Mhm.
it resonates. That's not salesy, right? Because we are positioning ourselves
Mhm.
to kind of speak with people who fit your ideal client, which is in your niche, which you
Mhm.
can solve their problem, right? Question 7 is, do you have the skills to solve this problem? And you started smiling as soon as you read that question because you're like, yeah, of course I can. Your father went through it.
Mhm.
You did it yourself.
Mhm.
You've been in banking, so you can solve the solutions. Plus, you have the tools
Mhm.
financially with the education that you have from, being
Mhm.
in the insurance business to be able to solve it in multiple ways, right?
Mhm.
So you got multiple solutions. So that's really why we want to kind of niche down first, just to kind of get a clear picture of like, okay, who do we serve? If somebody woke us up at 2 a.m. and said, all right, who's your niche? Who you serve? What's their problem? How can we solve it? You wake up like automotive, right? They have problems. They're working in the factories for 30 years. All the strategies, like you can just rattle that off your brain, right? And so that's kind of
Yeah.
what we want to do, because as this grows, you will have to kind of expand out, and that's just with using targeting with the age and demographics, which makes it a lot easier. But if we just start broad with, I'm just going to sell equipment. I'm going to sell
Mhm.
workout equipment to who? To everybody. What are you going to sell them? Anything, right? What do you sell life
Right.
insurance? Anybody. What do you sell them? Anything. Anybody can fog up the
Mhm.
mirror. So we want to kind of niche down. And what that does is that gives you confidence to really start searching and finding people that are a good fit for what you do, because you know exactly who you
Mhm.
serve. And that's called affinity. And what that
Mhm.
does is that connects you with a power law called synchronicity, which is when you're on the same wavelength, when you're crystal clear about what you
Mhm.
want, right? And so
Mhm.
synchronicity is a natural law of, and see how I can make this really simple. So you know how if you like looking for a car, right?
Uh-huh.
And you buy a car, you
Hmm.
rarely saw that car, but as soon as you get it, right, now
You
you
see
start
it
seeing
everywhere.
that car every single way. You start
Uh-huh.
noticing the color, right? Start seeing
Hmm.
it everywhere. It's what you attract. And so what we're
Hmm.
doing is we're creating an attraction mechanism so that now you started like, okay, this is who I serve. So now it's like, well, who are you going to go after? The people that you serve and can solve a problem for easily.
Hmm.
Now you're happy to go and do it. So now your activity is higher, right? You have more
Hmm.
conviction, right? You're
Yeah.
willing to solve more problems. It makes you feel like a specialist and an expert, not just some average life insurance agent saying the same old thing, right?
Right.
And it's funny because like your whole composure, like how you thinking, you sat up a little bit more, kind of focus, you smile, and it's like, okay, now you're crystal clear on this. You're crystal clear
Yeah.
on who you
Yeah.
serve. And so now you can go out in confidence as opposed to, oh, I don't know if this will work because I'm just targeting people 50 to 65 years old.
Right.
Cool. And so what's the next question that's down there? Number 8?
Um. Wait, is it?
Is that it for that worksheet?
Uh, I think, yeah, wait, has anybody solved this problem? Okay, so let's work on solving this problem and acquiring the skills and knowledge necessary to solve it. Start by writing down the problem in 1 or 2 sentences.
Cool. So let's do that.
Okay. All right. I think what I wrote, I'm just gonna have to cross it out and just.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we're redoing it, so we're not even gonna worry about if you got it wrong or made a mistake. We're about to get it right now.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna put. Okay. So the problem that I will be writing down for them would be them not knowing uh, the right strategy to provide a better life for the children, or
Correct.
okay,
Exactly. They don't have the proper financial strategy.
okay. So I'll put down them not having a proper financial strategy for providing a legacy for their children.
Cool. So
Okay.
what's the second piece to that question? We just break it up into chunks.
Okay. Problem and acquiring the skills and not necessary. So I'll start by writing down the problem in 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay.
So
So
the
how many sentences
problem
do
is,
we have?
what you
How
say?
many sentences did you have? I can't really see your sheet.
No,
You got
I
one?
only have one right now because I crossed out the other one.
Okay.
I just said have proper financial strategy for providing a legacy for their children.
Okay, cool. That's clear enough.
Okay. And then say, has anyone solved this problem? I put yes.
Okay.
So, and the next sheet, how how have they solved this problem? What are they doing? All right. So basically, all of these I can just cross all of them up.
Yeah. We'll do it as we go. Yeah, just cross it out. Because all
Okay.
we're thinking about, so now what we're doing is we're getting into the solution that we're going to have, right? So we need to already so what we're doing is game planning before the game planning on paper, right? We're using this as the
Hmm.
whiteboard. This is
Okay.
practice. So, so now we're trying to figure out, you know, somebody solved this problem before, right? So right
Hmm.
now, I guess just write down the solution.
Okay. So the solution would be if they're
So they're trying to plan for college, right? That's
hmm
what the problem is. So what's the solution to that? This is your expertise, right? If you were sitting with me, I'm an automotive person, and
hmm
I'm working hard, want to leave a legacy for my family. want to make sure I have enough dollars stocked up when it's time for me to start collecting on my pension and retire, right? What's the solution that you offer? Sitting in front of me, right? You can help me. How would you be able to help?
Okay, so if you're looking to have something, for the children and things of that nature down the line, I guess it kind of depends on the age, though.
Okay, so why is that factor in?
Well, I mean, if it's somebody that wants to do something for their kids long term, I would think in terms of like an IUL or something,
Okay.
because that's like the time,
Okay. And what's the age range on that when you're saying what's the factor in that?
They have to put money in for a minimum of 15 years. Now
So
they
that
could
would mean that they would want to start that about what age?
upwards of 40. They say usually around 45 to 50 because it need to have 15 years of maturity.
Okay, so then that's the solution then.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all good if just don't be afraid to write. Just get it down. You know what I mean? We can kind of tweak it and go back through it, but we need to, don't be afraid to just write some stuff down and out of your head. We need to get it on paper.
Okay, I just put that to put money aside for 15 years for children's education.
Into what?
No, I just said save it aside. Just
right. Okay.
So that would be like if if I was focused on doing IUL,
okay.
Right. The parameters for it.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying now. It depends on the situation to whether they can use that or not. Okay, which is okay. So this can be a little bit more general because there's multiple solutions, but we need to get a couple scenarios of solutions that we can use because, for like me, it's one solution, which is you need to go online to do it, automate and digital. You need to go digital and automate. But for you, obviously there's a bunch of other factors. So we can just write down 1 to 3 of those, right? So we got putting dollars away and then just come up with 2 more.
Okay, put money away. I mean, that's probably like the main thing, just putting money away because that's what they would have to do.
So the only way they can do it is with an IUL?
I mean, that because of how the IUL set up where it's compound interest over time, they can get basically tax-free retirement. But once you put it in for so many years, you can borrow from it. And you can pay it back or you don't have to. It just depends on how you set it up.
Right. And that's the whole, becoming your own banker kind of situation, right?
Yep.
Right. And that's the things that you can educate them on. So you can put that down as well. Becoming your own banker.
Okay. Okay.
And you said something else. So you said you can, you save it and you can, and then it's tax free. What'd you say about the tax free?
Tax free retirement.
Right.
And I mean some more about it. You participate in the gains of the market, just none of the downside of it.
Write it down. That's good. You get the upside without the downside.
Okay.
So you see how we start writing, and then it's like, oh yeah, wait a minute, there's one more, right? So let's read those solutions again.
Okay. They have to put aside money for 15 years for children's education, become your own banker, tax-free retirement, participate in gains but not in the losses of the market.
Okay, so that first one we can kind of edit that to be set up education and legacy planning.
Okay.
So so you see what we're doing here is we're not focusing on features, we're focusing on the benefits of the IUL. So why would
Mhm.
anyone who was in the automotive industry want to, put their money away for 15 years, right? So you don't want to say that.
Mhm.
Well, the benefits of it is the four things that you listed, right? So I'm
Mhm.
going to say, why would I want to put my money together? And you read off the four reasons, right? You
Okay.
ready?
Mhm.
So why would I want to put my money into lock it up for 15 years?
Okay, one of the things the reason why is that you want to put it away for children's education fund or legacy planning. You can become your own banker. You can actually borrow from the money, and you can choose to pay it back or not pay it back. It's strictly up to you. Tax-free retirement, where you can uh, take money back and don't have to pay any taxes on it, and you can participate in the gains of the market and none of the losses.
Really? So I'm more
Yeah.
interested about the being your own banker. Can you tell me some more about that?
Okay, well, what it does is essentially puts you in position because where when you borrow money from a bank, you usually pay back with a 10%, 12%, whatever the current interest rate is. But when you position yourself to be your own bank, you borrow from yourself. So you can choose to pay yourself back at whatever given interest rate you set up, or you choose not to. The choice is really yours.
Perfect. So you see how you give them the features, right? And then
Uh-huh.
they're going to tell you the ones out of those four that interest them the most. And that's where you go into focus. So then you start just focusing on the one. You don't keep talking about all these other bells and whistles, right? Because it's like
Okay.
some person came in to buy a car, right? And the one they wanted was a touchscreen. You don't start talking about the Hemi in there. You don't start talking about the space of the
Mm-hmm.
car, right? You focus
Mm-hmm.
on this state-of-the-art touchscreen, right? Navigation
Mm-hmm.
system, surround sound, right? Turn the music up, press the GPS. You just really start to focus on that one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so you see how we kind of get crystal clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. So that's great. So is there another part to that question?
Says, can you copy this to help the solution for your clients? Yes.
So obviously yes. Okay, cool. So that's done.
I said, now I said, make a list of things you need in order to copy the winning solution for people who have already figured this out.
So that's basically saying that if you weren't able to, like, so this question is different and it may not apply to you, but I'm just going to explain the context. So it would be you were, if you didn't have the solution, right?
Mhm.
Then how could you model someone else? But we already have the solution, which is your information, your skills, your expertise. We've got it clear on that. So I don't think that question would really kind of apply to you. So you can kind of just draw X next to that one because that's not really going to apply to you. But what we can do is what we can do is kind of just put down there, IUL, right?
Mhm.
And write down the solution that the IUL solves. So it solves the college planning, right?
Mhm. Yep. Solves college planning
By
by helping people save money for it in a tax-free way.
Okay, cool. Write that down.
All right.
And then so we're gonna just go down the road from the top question and just write down those solutions, right? You see what I mean? So now,
Mhm.
so the next one on that list at the top is what?
The next one underneath this one, or
No,
going back
we
up?
wrote down four benefits. So what was the second benefit?
Become your own banker.
Right. So now that'll be the next thing we write in the IUL section, right? So
Okay.
becoming your own banker, which would allow you to
Borrow from yourself. Okay. Which allow you to borrow from yourself.
Yeah, and then just go on to the next benefit and write that down as well.
Okay. Okay. And next question.
Did you write down the fourth benefit?
Yep, participating gains and not the losses of the market. Mhm.
Okay, cool, perfect. Okay, yeah,
Okay,
we can
next
move on
question.
to yes.
All right, so what steps are you going to take over the next 7 to 14 days to learn this?
Right. So that again, that doesn't apply to you because you have the skills necessary already. So, you just need to write down the process. What you can do is just map out kind of your process to getting somebody to qualify for it. So like step one is how the approach. Step two, fact finder. Step three is to get the, I guess, financial analysis or whatever you need, right?
Hmm.
Step four is schedule the medical. I don't know. I haven't done IUL, so I'm not sure. But if it's just like any other process, right? Or do they need to see a nurse? Just knowing what
Yeah.
your process is, right? And
Okay.
then submitting the application and then how long that
Hmm.
takes. So just write down step one through whatever it takes. So now we know what your process is what we would do
Okay.
here.
Because I haven't done one of these myself, but I know that is one of the products.
Right. Okay. Which is so then that's something that you need to find out. So that's a skill
Okay.
that you need to acquire.
Oh yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
so now just write down. So go back to what are the skills needed to acquire or learn? What is that, like the second or third question?
Uh,
No, on this sheet. On this sheet.
okay. It says make a list of the things you need to learn in order to copy the winning solution.
There we go. So what do you
Okay.
need to learn?
Okay. Okay. Learn. So, okay. Learn the steps for the actual process for a Southern IUL.
Right. Cool. All right. So it looks like we got that one knocked out. How you feel about this sheet now?
Good. Good. Because when I initially wanted more information about your program stuff, I wanted to learn how to sell IUS because I know there's bigger commission. So, who doesn't want bigger commission?
Right.
And I didn't know exactly like how I would be able to do it. So I'm like, I don't know, I haven't done it to know the process. Like I've sold hold and term, so I kind of know how that goes. But as far as like the IUS, it's a little different
Mm-hmm.
because every situation is, it's different. It's not one size fits all. So
Right.
I think this definitely helps me, learn, a process to kind of put it in play to do this.
Good. Okay, so we got that sheet done. What's the were there any other sheets that you were kind of hung up on that we kind of tackled?
Just the market,
Smart market questions.
yeah. But I mean, because some of like one of the questions I didn't really answer. Well, I didn't know how to answer it basically.
Okay, which one was
But
that?
you want to go through the whole sheet or no?
Well, let's start with what you didn't answer first, because that was the first thing you
Okay.
said.
Well, I because it says who else is selling something similar to them and how. And when I did all of this, all of the information on here was based on, conversation I had with people that are like over 50.
Right. So
So,
that was in your perspective and not in the perspective of thinking towards the market.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
'Cause
So then this sheet will
'cause
be easy for you to answer now, right?
yeah, because it's different.
So then, so these would be simple. Do you think you have a problem with doing this one on your own, or did you want me to help you with this, or what?
No, I mean I think I pretty much have it because some of it kind of still applies because it's still along the lines of like
Right.
leading less, like, because, well, one of them, it says, what keeps them up at night? And I said, think about their loved ones and the expense that they'll leave when they pass.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
that
Same,
correct?
same stuff. Yes. Exact
Yeah,
same
so
stuff.
a lot of it, because it's still along the lines of insurance, a lot of it still applies.
Okay.
It's still
Cool.
kind of like the same
Perfect.
thing. Yep.
So we got some of that down. Did you have any other questions that you needed clarity on about this stuff now that we've, went through those sheets?
No, I do not. Now, as far as the messaging that I would say, would I be talking to them specifically along for like IULs, or would I be talking to them for like final expense?
So the cases made in the fact finder, right? So any ideal situation you want to use IUL, but everybody is not a fit for that. And your job as a fiduciary, kind of financial advisor
Okay.
capacity, is to do what's in the best interest of the client, which means that when you go into the approach, you just need to be an expert at diagnosing what the problem is, which is what really your skill set is, which is the banking and the financial piece is
Mhm.
take off the whole I just want to sell somebody IUL, right? What you
Right.
go into is diagnosing the problem, because then that's what the best interest is for them. And if you're giving them a solution to a problem that's in the best interest of them, then it's easier for them to say yes, right? Then it's easier for you to solve that problem in multiple different ways, whether it's with IUL. So you have a bunch of options, right? Because they're probably interested in those four things. And,
Mhm.
you know, in the insurance business, right, there's a toolbox of things that you can use for those four solutions. And that depends on
Mhm.
age, depends on income. So it's a lot of
Yeah.
factors. So just
Yeah.
going in and saying, I want to say IUL is kind of like you're missing the boat on, I just need to figure out what the problem is that this person has, what they
Mhm.
want, and just give them that, right? So
Mhm.
every pitch isn't going to be right down the middle, but if it's one to the right a little bit, you can hit it to left field, right, and get a base hit. Or if it comes right down the pipe, you can hit it over the fence. Or if you need to bunt just because you need to advance a runner, right? It's like all these things that we can kind of use. So
Okay.
I think that the most important thing is understanding, right? Seek first to understand and to be understood. So you go in trying to
Mhm.
understand, it's going to make you more powerful instead of somebody that's pushing the product. So all these things are just to differentiate yourself, right? We get it
Okay.
specific with the niche. We're understanding, their problems. We already kind of have some solutions. We know what we need to
Mhm.
learn to get better. And then we're going in, doing what's in the best interest of them, which is being an expert at diagnosing what the problem is, right? So when you go to
Okay.
the doctor, okay, fill out this form, right? Tell me
Mhm.
age, history, health, kind of what's been going on, and then they sit there. So tell me a little bit more about this pain that you're having, okay? And how long you been having it, okay? Do you have a history of that? Do you have any other health things, right? Very matter of fact, like we're going through. He's not
Mhm.
judging you. He's not making comments on the answers that you got. He's asking you, okay, how many drinks you have a week, right? Do you use tobacco, right? Do you use any other recreational? Like he's not there to judge you. He's there to get the facts so that
Mhm.
he can have a proper diagnosis. And so
Okay.
when you do that, then it's like, okay, this person gets me. He's asking great questions, shows that he cares,
Mhm.
and then he's there kind of to help me with the solution. And then it's easier to kind of for them to say yes to that way.
Right. Okay.
Cool. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. So
Okay.
out of those sheets, do you have any other things that you're confused on or unclear on?
Uh, well, I think the Aaron avatar, that one could be a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
When it says what do they do, how do they spend their week, what do they do outside of work, where do they get their news. It's a lot of like it could be a lot of different things with
Right.
this particular
Right.
one.
So what I would suggest is just completing it. So what we want to do is focus on the task and completing it. So what you do is just take it line by line, right? What do they
Mhm.
do? Just write something down, right? Like get it down,
Okay.
get general idea, because if it can be multiple things, that's okay. But we need to write down the things that line up for our ideal client, right? So it's like, if you are dating, let's go, I always take it back to dating, right? There's some certain criteria that they need to have, right? Like she, needs to be attractive to you, right? She needs to kind of have certain conviction personally, right? What is the, kind of, maybe not having any kids, right? It's like, so you searching, and then when you find a person that kind of lines up to all the criteria that you have, you're like, bet, I got a winner. This is the one, right?
Yeah.
That's where you kind of hone in and you kind of court. So this is the same thing, is we're just trying to get clear on who would be a good fit for our service. And, we'll get a bunch of people that we can help along the way. But when we get our ideal client, it's like, perfect, cool. Then how can we get more of those people, right? And so all we're doing is just trying to get crystal clear. I know it seems like it's a little bit extra steps with the exercise, but this is going to allow you to really be clear on who you serve, so that, when an opportunity presents itself, exactly if that's the good fit for you. And so, just go through it, even if it's general, just complete it, because you're going to feel better about it after you get done. It's going to give you more clarity. And this is also something that gives you confidence and conviction, because now you're thinking like a business owner, not like a life insurance agent, right? It changes your kind of the way you communicate, because employees are communicating in the 9-to-5 kind of mentality of, I'm just here to make my dials. I'm here to, the stuff that you just do on autopilot. There's no intention in that. This is intentional, right? We have a goal that we want to do, is we want to help a bunch of people. Who you want to help? All right, well, I want to win a championship. Okay. Well, how you want to plan to do that? Are you practicing, right? Do you got a coach? Are you on a team, right? You getting good sleep? Do you have a proper uniform? You ever played before? What's your skill set, right? Well, how are you going to do it if you don't have any of that? No matter if you're on the best team with the best coach, if you don't have, you out there in dress shoes instead of Nike shoes, right? It's like we need to have all of these things together, and that's what we're doing. So just complete it. And then I think that after you do this, then you'll be ready to just kind of set some general stuff up with the business manager. So action items is complete the worksheet. And then if you don't have a business manager set up, then that's the next thing we need to do.
Yeah, I do.
You do? Okay. So, and I remember we talked about in the last call. Then the next thing is then we need to just get something up and starting to get to the market. We need to go to the market, basically.
Okay.
So when you get that complete, email me, and then we'll get together and we're going to the market after this.
Okay. Do I need to do the Sales Navigator LinkedIn thing or no?
No, we're not going to do that for you, because you have a different kind of situation. So it's kind of like the course is just like what you're saying. It's like it depends on people who want to do the LinkedIn thing. But for you, if you want mortgage protection, final expense, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just go ahead and get that set up on the next time we can connect.
Okay. All right. And I can do the same thing when it comes to like building an agency as well. Going through like all of this, just have it for the mindset
evergreen.
of the.
Okay. Yeah, it's evergreen, because the thing is now you got access. Of course, all you do is just reprint the sheets again, give them to the person that you bring on, right? All right, fill these out, right? When what that does is it shows a level of commitment, because a lot of people will come in, but they don't want to put in the work on the front end. They just want to talk about getting on Facebook and this and that, but the money's not made on Facebook, right? A lot of people get on Facebook, lose a lot of money on Facebook. It's because they're not clear, right?
Now, with all of this, is it possible, like basically, because I know when we had initially talked, you said it's people that are writing like $100,000 a month.
Yeah, that just comes. Those are the numbers. Yeah, those are the numbers that you use, but a lot more goes into that, which is it's got to be working in order for you to make $100,000, right? You can't just slap up anything and put 55 to 60 in there and expect to make $1 million, right?
Right.
You got to have something. You got to have a target, like I mentioned. So we can get to that, but right now we want to. It's kind of like training camp, right? We want to start with the fundamentals, right? They said that not Rush Limbaugh, guy for the Packers. He's the coach. And Lombardi, I think
Okay.
Lombardi, he always said every single year they always started with this is a football, right? They go through the drills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basketball training camp, we always started with passing drills, layup drills, 3-man weave, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the basics. Well, this is a solid foundation because if you go on to advertising and trying to get clients online and you have something very general, you're going to get crickets. You're going to waste a lot of money, waste a lot of time and
Mm-hmm.
energy when, we can go ahead and get this. But yeah, I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to start small too. We're just going to go after, okay, let's see how accurate this stuff is. Let's start with some final expense mortgage protection and see if we can
Mm-hmm.
get some leads, right? Then after we get some
Right.
leads, okay, how do we ramp this up, right?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of take it in that same like steps. We don't want to go out here to try to go way down here and start doing things without having the basics kind of taken care of. You know what I mean? We want to
Mm-hmm.
kind of be systematic in our approach.
Now, would you say that when it comes to the whole advertising, I should start just with my local market, like Michigan, because that's where I am?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you with all of that. We start in your right
Okay.
backyard because that's a part of your affinity too. Hey, I noticed that you're also in Michigan, right? Oh yeah. Everybody wants to do this. You know what I'm saying? My partner from Michigan, everybody from Michigan want to do this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So that's something that you can use. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just because I lived in Michigan for 1 year, right? I think we talked about that. But I know that. So when I say that, people
Mm-hmm.
resonate with that, right? The walls
Yeah,
come down. It's like,
yeah.
yeah. You're nodding your head. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's a great question. We would definitely start in your backyard. And,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll start off getting some leads first, putting some of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff out there, trying to get some leads, kind of target certain demographic, which that stuff's easy. That's the easy part because we're just
Mm-hmm.
leveraging technology. We don't need to be a scientist or an expert at doing that. This is the stuff that we need to have nailed down.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
And just take it line by line. That's all. Don't read the whole thing and like, man, I need to do it. Take it line by line. Just what's the first
All
line
right.
it says? What's the first line it says?
Tell us about your avatar.
Right, and then the next line. Because basically all you're doing is cop modeling that. So just
Yeah.
what's
So
the
what do they do? How do they
right? So
spend
let's
their
start with
week?
that. What do they do? Automotive people, right? They work
Yep.
painting vehicles, this and that. That's easy. All right. Then okay,
Yep.
what's the next line?
Uh, how do they spend their week?
Right. What do they do? Right.
Working.
Right. Exactly. They always working,
Working. Yep.
away from
Always
home a lot of
working.
hours. Simple. Okay. What's the next
What
one?
What do they do outside of work? Some of them might hang out at bars or binge watch TV shows.
Right. They relax. They pretty much relax on their off time because they work a ton.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And where they get their news, some of them watch evening news, CNN.
All right. So
Uh,
yeah. So see how it's not really that difficult, right? It's
yeah.
just go through it line by line, get it written down. Now, so you can see that there's 3 different levels of how we've kind of iterated this over. So now it's
Mm-hmm.
starting to become a repetition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Miss the layup the next time. Well, we're gonna come back, blow the whistle. All right, start over. You know, 1 step, 2 step, lay it up like that, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Is
Mm-hmm.
we're getting repetition going, which is gonna be great for you.
Okay. All right. I think you pretty much answered every question that I had. You kind of crystallized it because I didn't know how, the piece, it's like a puzzle, like
Yeah.
I know the pieces that, I know what the ideal puzzle I want it to look like, but you kind of help put the pieces in order,
Good.
and
Good.
it's like,
Good.
it makes sense. So it makes perfect sense.
Okay, great. So knock that out, and then we're going after this is action time, buddy. We're going
Okay.
straight to we double check the business manager, and then we're going to get something set up, and we can talk more about that after you get this done. But as soon as you get this done, then we're going to action mode.
Okay.
Perfect. Was this helpful?
Yeah, very helpful. Very helpful. Because it's when I looked at the other sheet, and it's kind of like everything well, not everything, but it's more focused as opposed to general. When out of all of those, like automotive, I never would have thought of automotive, actually. I
Hmm.
wouldn't have thought of it. It's
Isn't that
just
something?
no. Hmm?
I
You
said, isn't
say?
that something?
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't think of it, but then as the questions start happening, the way you made it more vivid, I'm like, wow, that would be ideal. Because I mean, in Michigan, we got GM4 Chrysler, and they have all together, I want to say combined, probably 150,000 employees, if not more. You
Right.
know.
So why wouldn't you? I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? It's crazy how like when you niche down, you see how it's like
Yep.
it took an hour, but we went from like general to like, now that I think about it, all of these motor companies are here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, man, it's a process. There's no secret sauce to this. It's just getting clear on what you're doing, systems and processes. So, well, I'm
Hmm.
I'm glad that this was helpful. Did you have any other questions before we hop off?
Uh, Not that I can think of. Yeah, not that I can think of.
Okay, great, man. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Try to make some more of those calls. I know you're busy, but try to hop on
Hmm.
those calls just to ask questions about things. Don't let them
Okay.
kind of simmer in your head, right? If you do have
Hmm.
something, either put them in the notes in your phone or something. That's usually what
Okay.
I do because I also am a part of a group where I hop on calls like this. So when you got
Hmm.
questions, write them down. Get in the habit of getting that stuff out of your head, getting it down, and taking
Hmm.
action. And then once you get this done, we'll go ahead and get things set up.
Okay. All right.
All right, Kevin. Well, thanks
Now,
again, man.
you want me to send you all of them? Because I sent you the market analysis one. I thought that was the only one I need to send, but did you want me to send all of them to
Yeah,
you?
just take a picture of them and send them to me,
Okay.
email them to me, because
Okay.
then I'll have it, right. So when we go to set up stuff, I can actually look at it. See, I can't see that, so it'll make the process a lot faster.
Okay. All right.
And
So
so
once I
support at
finish
Arturo Johnson Consulting is where you email those to,
you said send it to support.
at ArturoJohnsonConsulting.com.
Okay. Support. And I think I sent the other one to Arturo at
Yeah.
Arturo.
But send them to the other one because I'll be able to see that because that's where it's supposed to go. It's kind of like my PO box for service
All right. So support.
at Arturo Johnson Consulting.com.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
great. All right, man. Well, you have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
All right. You too. All right.